It's hot. 3, 2.
Well, welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my co-host, the handsome Mark Hunt of Pacific Private Money, and we're in the studio with Damon Connolly, Santa Fe City Council member and chair of the Marina Energy Authority. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. In the 1960s, who said on many occasions, "Warning, Will Robinson, warning"? Mark, you know that show.
Oh, I love that show. That was Robot on Lost in Space. Of course, my favorite character was Mr. Smith.
Dr. Smith.
Dr. Smith.
Yeah.
You bubble-headed boobies.
That's great. Hey, do it one more time. I love that.
You bubble-headed boobies.
That's great. Keep doing it. No,
flashback to childhood.
Oh,
scary flashback.
So, okay, Damon, you were going to mention about opting in and opting out.
Right. So we were talking a little bit about getting notices and your opportunity to choose and opt out at any time. You can actually choose to join the program at the deep green level, the 100% renewable level.
I love that.
Doesn't get any better than that. $5 to $10 more a month, a great bargain, and that's available at any point.
What's the thought? Let's say every county in California, or most counties in California, ultimately adopt this program. What are the goals or the visions or the hopes and dreams of the people who put this together?
What we're seeing is, we know as communities there's a number of things we need to be doing in terms of the climate change issue, whether it's green building standards, other energy efficiency programs. All of that's important. But what we're seeing is, if you opt into one of these community choice programs, you get the most bang for your buck as a local community in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So I think the ultimate goal, beyond competition, beyond choice, beyond the economic benefits that you're going to see over time in terms of job creation, the bottom line is, particularly for communities with strong environmental values, this is going to be the way you can make that difference to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
But not only that, going back to the the business side of things, the fiscal side, it reminds me of when they break up of the AT&T, and they went from one monopoly to 8 monopolies. But eventually, though, you got Verizon, Sprint, you got all these other companies coming in, and it brought the prices down. Think that basically the same sort of thing's going to be going on.
Ultimately, it could very well do that. And the whole point of this law, it actually came about after the energy crisis. You guys remember those days with Enron and
well, I thought you meant back to the early 1970s.
No.
Okay,
This is the more recent version where
yes.
we had out-of-state power generators after deregulation come in, and there were a number of issues. This law was actually passed right after that, and I think it was part of a larger thought that California and its communities really need to take more control over their energy future.
Is there still a residual from that whole Enron debacle? Because I remember that, didn't that involve California or PG&E buying long-term contracts at some higher amount, and that we were on the hook? So is that still in effect today?
Coincidentally, I worked on those cases. I was with the California Attorney General's office at the time, so was very intimately involved in all those issues. In fact, good memory. If you recall, PG&E went bankrupt at the time.
Right. Yeah.
The state, specifically the Department of Water Resources, stepped in as the purchaser of last resort, entered these long-term contracts, and actually the state floated a significant bond to cover it, which actually we still are paying off, but I think it's coming to an end in the next couple of years.
And just to remind our listeners, you're listening to the Best of Investing on Fox News Radio 910 a.m. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with Mark Hunt from Pacific Private Money, and we have Damon Connolly from the Marina Energy Authority in the studio. People had to remind me once in a while that in the middle of a segment, I should kind of let
you get so carried away with the conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are channel surfing and they get onto our show and they go, who are these guys? Okay.
So let's just say a huge majority of people opt into this deep green, which is essentially that they're saying, look, I want my energy to my home or business to come 100% from renewable sources. And those renewable sources obviously are very finite right now. They're a small percentage, am I not correct, of the overall source of electrical generation, most of which is non-green and non-renewable. What happens when you run out of renewable sources, and what happens if there's a lack of demand, so to speak, for the non-renewable sources? Does that question make sense?
It does, and it kind of goes back to the point I was making a little bit earlier. I mean, because we were told that point blank, you're just not going to see the level of supply you're going to need to do this kind of program.
Right.
We're seeing the exact opposite, and if you think about just basic economics, it kind of makes sense. If you're increasing demand significantly, that also increases supply. And from our small experience so far, we're seeing that hold true, that far from being limited in our options, we are actually getting a lot of subscription to every RFP we go out for. And currently we have some biomass already online. We're looking at some more solar, as I mentioned earlier.
Biomass, that sounds almost like sci-fi. What's biomass?
So that's more landfill projects, that sort of thing. It actually is a source energy. Yes, really? It does, absolutely. So
and, for the listeners who want to get a hold of either you or the agency, how do they look into this more? MarinEnergyAuthority.org. Please check out our website. Feel free to contact me directly as the chair of the agency, and we'd love to talk to you about it further.
Can someone reach you by phone?
Absolutely. And go on the website. I don't have our phone number memorized at the office.
Oh, you can give your cell phone. No.
and your home phone.
I was
and
tempted.
Security number.
I was tempted. Actually, I'm listed in the phone book. So.
Coming to a county near you, renewable energy. Renewable
I like that.
Energy.
And actually, you're running again. You're the incumbent for the San Rafael City Council, and that's coming up. I guess November again?
Well, thank you, Edward, for pointing that out. Yes, actively running for re-election right now, and coming to a doorstep near you.
Yeah. Little drama in the San Rafael chambers, according to the local papers. Everything okay? And
well,
it's at work.
It's an interesting time period. Our mayor has been in office for 20 years. He's stepping down. So one of our current colleagues is running for that against a former council member. So that's going to be the marquee matchup. And then there's a council opening by virtue of that. So a number of people are throwing their hats in the ring for council.
Now's your chance.
For $400,000 a year, maybe I'll do that.
No.
No. Oh, okay. Maybe $400,000 in 2 lifetimes. Yeah, several zeros. All right.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that Marin is at the forefront of this, this goal for renewable energy. I think it's definitely laudable that you've devoted the time that you have to making this happen and seeing it through to fruition. I know that there's probably a number of people out there that are still wondering whether or not this is just going to be more money out of their pocketbook, but I think certainly we all share that goal that renewable energy sources are certainly worth striving for.
Well, I think it's worth giving it a chance. Customers can always switch back for about $5. You can. And that's you actually have a free opt-out period for several months, and then even after that, if you don't like it, you think you're paying too much or whatever, you can still opt out for about $5.
That's important. I mean, I like the idea that it's like people don't have to worry about the decision that they made, because if they make a decision they don't like, it only costs $5 or free to switch back.
What would be really handy is if the bill showed you what it would have been under the old plan as opposed to the new plan. Because the problem with like my home bill, like I've got a little pool in the backyard, and some days are hot, you run the air conditioning, and a bill might come in one month and be, that was high, but you switch to this carrier and you have a high month and you wonder, wow, what's going wrong? Is there something wrong with the billing? So
exactly.
So that would certainly that's just a little idea there, and we don't know if that's possible.
That's something you can suggest.
Absolutely. And what we're seeing is, this isn't just kind of a Marin type of program in the sense that, you know, San Francisco is very interested. Richmond is actually close to joining.
I can
Even.
easily
there's-
imagine PG or San Francisco doing it.
Absolutely.
Damon Connolly from the Marin Energy Authority, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate the information for our listeners. And we are going to go to our third and final trivia question. Here's at the break. All right. In the late 1960s, Jack Lord would usually say, "Book 'em, Dano," on what TV show? The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In the late 1960s, Jack Lord would usually say, "Book 'em, Dano," on what TV show? Again, one more time, call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email, and phone number, and we will be right back.